Dua Lipa's getting sued for posting photos of herself? Plus, we revisit the artist from the worst of 2012 10 years later and help some brave souls who've asked me for advice. All this plus hours to binge in the back catalog at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Last week, 3 women who haven't been of childbearing age in more than a decade or two, and 5 men who likely struggle with maintaining an erection without any medical assistance, overturned Roe versus Wade. Now, you guys know I hate hyperbole, unless it's for comedic effect. One might say I'm a hyperbole hypocrite. But let's make sure everyone understands what this means without shouting, "They made abortion illegal," or "They finally upheld God's will." In plain English, Roe v. Wade did not make abortions legal or illegal. What that ruling did was say, the Constitution, specifically the 14th Amendment, specifically the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, provides a fundamental right to privacy when it comes to medical procedures, which included abortion. But, at the time, they also said this doesn't mean the right to abortion is absolute, and then said, okay, so first trimester, government can't say shit. Second trimester, government can regulate the procedure if it's for the health of the mother, but not the fetus. Third trimester, government can go hog wild with laws, but they gotta make sure there's an exception to save the life of the mother. So, once that parasite's been floating around in there for 6 months, even with Roe v. Wade, states could and did make it illegal. What the Supreme Court did wasn't say, abortion should be illegal. What they said was, it was an incorrect interpretation of the Constitution to say that abortions are protected by the 14th Amendment. Now, some people might think that this is tomato, but just to be clear, the Supreme Court did not make abortions illegal. They said every state can make their own rules. And given that the United States of America are about as united as oil and water, Kim and Kanye, or Twitter users in reality, many states will make it completely illegal. Some will keep the same laws they've always had, and others may completely legalize it no matter what, like New York. Get an I Heart New York shirt, a slice of Famous Ray's pizza, and a scrapin' in the same day. Now, your old pal Buckley is pro-choice. That's hopefully not a surprise. I love freedom and hate children. And also I made videos like my Todd Aiken one from years ago, where he said that when women are the victims of legitimate rape, then the body has ways of shutting that whole thing down. Fun fact, that guy died of ass cancer last year. Can you believe the body didn't have a way of shutting that whole thing down for him? And for the whataboutists in the audience who just can't take each issue on its own and have to compare it to every other fucking thing on the planet, yes, I'm pro-choice for vaccines or wearing a mask. I'm also pro-choice for companies who don't want unmasked people to enter their businesses or who don't want unvaccinated workers coughing on their employees. I already said I thought the government overreached when it said truckers couldn't cross the border for work and that they should have been allowed to. Go look it up and then come back and call me a dirty lib anyway because you're a fucking moron. But freedom always goes both ways. And if you want to scream your little whataboutisms, make these bad one-to-one comparisons, like if you were going to say, so companies should be able to say whether or not you should be allowed to have a kid? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, lots of companies will never say this out loud, but they'd rather women didn't have a baby than had a baby. Women who are having a baby can't work. They need special treatment, like if they're supposed to stand all day, you have to let them sit at their job, and you can't fire them just for getting pregnant. In fact, you have to let them take 12 weeks off. Unpaid, sure, but you can't just fire them and get someone else. At least not legally. And even if you could, you're gonna spend at least 2 weeks trying to hire someone, then 2 to 4 weeks training them. You lose productivity from your other staff who have to teach the new staff member how to do the job. It costs more to get new staff than it does to keep your old staff. And if the company has health insurance, someone's paying for all the hospital visits. Company premiums could all go up. In fact, I would guess that's why so many companies jumped right on board with helping. Those of you who think I'm too cynical aren't gonna like this hot take. But seriously, think about that. As a company, you pay for a plane ticket for a woman to go to a state that does allow abortions. That employee's back to work in a few days, a week maybe. The company healthcare gets dinged for just one procedure rather than all the checkups and the birth itself and the hospital stay, and then the kids' medical costs. Cost of just a hospital birth in the USA is between $5,000 and $11,000 in most states. Cost of an abortion in most states? Around $700. You tell me which one the company health plan would rather absorb. And they get their fully trained employee back quicker, and they won't be running home early every day because, oh, I gotta go pick up my kid from daycare. Oh, he's sick, I couldn't come in. Blah, blah, blah. All the problems that come with having an employee who has kids. Come on. You don't think that's why so many companies like Microsoft, Apple, Disney, Netflix, why they jumped on this? No. It's because they all really care about a woman's right to choose. Fuck right off. Ironically, one of the first to make the announcement that they'd pay for travel for any woman who could not get a procedure in the state they work in was Dick's Sporting Goods. I guess once Dick's been a part of your life, they feel responsible for you. Unlike a lot of regular dicks out there who don't want to pay child support. But anyway, in the Socialist Republic of Canada, where King Trudeau hands out decrees from on high, as the internet would have you believe, this isn't as hot button of an issue here. In fact, 79% of Canadians are in favor of a woman having the right to an abortion, while only 14% of us igloo dwellers said no. Godless heathens we are. But in the US, those numbers are a lot closer together, with 55% of adults being pro-choice, 39% being pro-life, and 5% being pro-fence sitting. It's a big deal there, and I really don't get why. Like, I get that for the most part, this is another left versus right issue in the US, and you just go with whatever side you're on. But think about this for a second, okay? Especially those of you who are anti-abortion. Assuming there are no hypocrites in the bunch, which is a big assumption, we know conservatives who get pregnant will have their children and raise them to be conservative. So this decision doesn't affect them anyway, right? Business as usual, plopping out more kids, taking them to church, feeding them Texas beef and Idaho potatoes, raising them right so they become God-fearing patriots with real family values. So, if only liberals want abortions, then conservatives, why do you want to stop that? In fact, maybe this is how you get your rights back, ladies, with political ads like this. Conservatives want to ban all abortions, but think about that for a second. Who's getting all of these abortions? Liberals. And if they can't get their abortions, they're going to have all those children. All of those heathen babies that they'll take to drag shows. Let watch these Disney propaganda films where two women are affectionate towards each other. Let them pick the gender they want to be. Teach them critical race theory in their math textbooks. And effectively create more leftists who just want everything given to them. That's right, another generation of children looking for handouts who want free college, free healthcare, free housing, and all at the expense of hardworking Americans like you. Is that what you want? When it comes to choice, give women the right to choose, or choose a world full of leftists. You run that ad in red states, and by the end of the week, I guarantee you'll have them lined up around the block volunteering to man the vacuums themselves.